All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to look at something that might just completely change how you view the streets you walk on every single day. Consider this kind of surprising historical fact. Ancient Islamic cities were incredibly stable, cohesive, and they lasted for centuries. Yet they operated with almost zero codified, written-in-stone planning laws. I mean, how is that even possible? How do you build an entire, fully functioning urban civilization without a massive binder of zoning regulations? Well, today we are exploring that exact mystery by evaluating modern urbanism through the lens of ancient fiqh, or Islamic jurisprudence, and seeing exactly how today's laws stack up against historical wisdom.
Think about the difference between the hyper-regulated, towering skylines we're used to today and the organic, tightly knit fabric of a traditional Islamic city. Back then, instead of rigid, top-down regulations, they relied on shared religious jurisprudence, specifically Sharia and the consensus of early scholars. It was basically a completely different operating system for city planning. Growth was guided naturally by a shared ethical and legal framework rather than bureaucratic red tape, which led to this profound sense of stability and community.
Now fast forward to modern Egypt and we see a totally different approach. Because we didn't have those ancient traditions explicitly codified into modern urban law, a rapid evolution of complex regulations kind of had to step in. It all started back in 1881 with the earliest modern laws, eventually ramping up to Law 106 in 1976 for building regulations. Then came Law Number 3 in 1982, which was the first comprehensive urban planning law, and that culminated in the massive Unified Building Law Number 119 in 2008. Essentially, we replaced an organic legal philosophy with highly structured, codified legislative steps.
So what's the actual soul of that original organic system? At its absolute core, it rested on this ancient legal and spiritual maxim. Warding off harm takes precedence over bringing benefit. In the context of a city, this meant that every single building decision, every new street, and every market stall was evaluated first on whether it caused harm to a neighbor or the broader community. It's all part of the overarching objective of preserving religion and life itself. The big question for our explainer today is, can our modern, highly complex laws successfully capture this pure, intent-driven philosophy?
To figure that out, we're going to grade this modern legal framework across 4 key areas: urban, social, economic, and environmental aspects.
First up, evaluating urban aspects, or how we actually plan the city.
Let's look right at the physical foundation. Does the blueprint actually protect the community? Modern law, specifically Articles 33 and 34, does technically mandate that detailed plans have to include areas for public services, including religious ones. But here's the catch. It completely lacks any specific standards or metrics. Unlike ancient times, where the mosque was this undeniable central anchor of the neighborhood, modern laws offer absolutely no clear standards for mosque distribution or centrality within residential areas. So the intention is there on paper, for sure, but the precise urban execution is just missing.
Moving on to our second area, evaluating social aspects, which is all about community cohesion.
This is where the physical layout really bleeds into the people living there. Because we lack firm standards for positioning mosques, their traditional role in bringing the local community together is definitely weakened. And beyond that, the legal framework totally misses another huge social pillar. There are literally no legal provisions ensuring a diverse mix of economic levels within a neighborhood. The laws don't force a blend of economic, average, and luxury housing to achieve true social harmony. So socially, the modern laws really struggled to engineer the kind of tight-knit, diverse community cohesion that was just natural in older cities.
All right, area number 3, evaluating economic aspects, or how we encourage growth. Don't count the modern system out just yet. There is a massive policy success here, specifically in Egypt's new urban cities, and it comes down to one number, 10%. To actively encourage the creation of factories and businesses, the regulations state that investors are only required to make a highly accessible 10% initial down payment to secure industrial lands.
Here's how this brilliant economic mechanism actually works in practice. The investor puts down that super manageable 10%. Then they get a 3-year grace period right from the date of receipt. After those 3 years, the remaining balance is paid off in 3 equal annual installments. I mean, this is the maxim warding off harm, perfectly applied to economics. It protects buyers from immediate crushing financial strain, which allows them to actually build and start producing before the heavy bills come due.
Finally, our 4th area, evaluating environmental aspects to see how we're protecting the space. You know, in the ancient city, harming your neighbor's air or street access was strictly forbidden by jurisprudence. So how well does modern law protect our shared spaces and public health today?
Actually, it's got a surprisingly strong backbone here, primarily through Law 4 of 1994 regarding the environment. It successfully institutionalizes the warding off of environmental harm by mandating the establishment of a dedicated environmental protection fund. It also legally requires rigorous environmental impact assessments for projects and ensures funding is funneled toward local administration and NGO projects aimed at preserving the environment. It's a very proactive legal shield for sure. And when it comes to practical enforcement, the rules are pretty strict. Article 53 of Law 119 explicitly bans dumping waste and trash on building plots, ensuring a baseline of hygiene and visual comfort. Plus, while older laws had some ambiguity, regulations in the new cities explicitly empower the administrative body to fine individuals and forcefully remove any encroachments on public roads or courtyards. Basically, if you block traffic or ruin the public aesthetic, the law steps in to actively remove that harm.
So when we look at this overall report card, a really fascinating picture emerges about the future of city planning. Our modern codified laws absolutely excel in the tangible stuff. They are fantastic at structuring economic incentives, like those brilliant industrial land payment plans, and they are incredibly robust in deploying environmental protections. But they genuinely struggle to legally engineer the intangible, that social and spiritual cohesion that just naturally flourished under the ancient fixed system. Which leaves us with a pretty profound question to wrap up this explainer. Can a rigid, written law ever truly mandate the spirit of a community? As we continue to build bigger, faster, and more complex spaces, perhaps the ultimate challenge for modern urban planners isn't writing more rules, but figuring out a way to re-inject that ancient, intuitive sense of shared responsibility back into our concrete jungles. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep questioning the world around you, and I'll see you next time.